Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out the questions down in the description. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bill of Rights. All right, so once the Constitution was approved by 9 of the 13 colonies, a lot of them were saying, we aren't really going to, we want a Bill of Rights to be added, or basically a statement of basic rights. All right, so the Bill of Rights are actually the first 10 amendments or changes to the U.S. Constitution, but they were all adopted at the same time. So we're going to try to get through all of them here. So I'm going to start flying through these and get through all of the first 10 amendments. All right, the First Amendment is, of course, famously the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. Again, here in the United States, you're free to practice whatever religion you like. Freedom of assembly, that's something, again, a lot of these you can go back and look at laws that were being passed by the British before the American Revolution, like, the Intolerable Acts, which included things like, people could, the people of the colonies could not assemble, all right, and have town meetings. So this is saying that you have the freedom to be able to do that. Also, freedom of the press. They can print whatever they like, all right. They don't have to be limited by the government saying you can't print certain things, all right. So that's one of the basic freedoms. Second Amendment, probably one of the most controversial ones, the right to bear arms, so the right to be able to own a gun to defend yourself, all right? And, at least when the Constitution was first written, a lot of our army was made up of militia, people that, had weapons. So again, this is one that's very hotly debated of whether or not the Second Amendment should still be in effect, or what restrictions should we have on the right to bear arms. Third Amendment is the no quartering of soldiers. All right, back before the American Revolution, of course, we had the Quartering Act, in which the British were keeping British soldiers in people's homes. And so in the Third Amendment, they say that the government will never require you to house soldiers in your home. Fourth Amendment is the protection of unreasonable search and seizures. So in other words, it kind of protects your property, all right? So that, the government cannot just simply take your property or, search your property without a valid warrant, all right? So a warrant is something, like a police officer, if they suspect that there's something wrong going on in a home, they have to go to a judge so that there's evidence that something might be going on, and then the judge will give them a warrant saying that they may then search that property, all right? So again, this is your protection against or a protection of your property. Fifth Amendment, this is a huge one, all right, protects from being held for committing a crime unless you are properly indicted, all right? So indicted means that you've actually been charged with a crime. So in other words, they cannot just simply throw you in jail and hold you there without you actually, being told what you're being held for, all right? Also, there's the whole thing of double jeopardy here, where you can't be charged for the same crime twice. You can't be forced to testify against yourself. That's the right to remain silent if you're arrested. All right, is that you can't be forced to testify against yourself. And also, the government cannot take your property without just compensation. So in other words, if they're building a new highway and they need to take build it right where your house is, the government has to justly compensate or pay you for your property. All right, so the Sixth Amendment. The Sixth Amendment is a guarantee of a speedy public trial by an impartial jury. If you remember back in the, I believe it's in Article 3 under the judicial branch, there is a guarantee of a jury trial. So here again, you have this guarantee. If you are charged with a crime, you're going to have a speedy trial, and you're going to have an impartial jury. So in other words, a jury of your peers. All right. So also, you must be, again, informed of the accusations against you. You cannot just be simply thrown in jail and held without knowing that. And also, you're guaranteed that you're going to be allowed to have a lawyer in court. All right, Seventh Amendment is getting kind of, legal. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know every detail here, but it basically says, your rights in civil court. All right. So basically guarantees, again, jury trial in federal civil court cases. So then the Eighth Amendment, this is a pretty straightforward one. Excessive bail fines and punishments are to be forbidden. So in other words, there isn't to be cruel and unusual punishment. And again, this is another hotly debated one in the United States, because what actually constitutes cruel and unusual punishment? All right. So again, no extraordinarily high fines, you can't be tortured, things like that, all right? Ninth Amendment says that there are other rights kept by the people. This is basically the Founding Fathers' loophole to say that they know that there's other rights that may exist that don't exist now. And actually, this showed the genius of the Founding Fathers, because when the Founding Fathers were around, there was no electricity, there were no cell phones, there were no cars. There weren't things like that today we have laws that pertain to those things. So in other words, they were just saying, even though, that there are rights that aren't specifically stated here in the Bill of Rights, that doesn't mean those rights can't be violated. So we acknowledge that there's rights outside of this that might be impeded upon. 10th Amendment basically says undelegated powers kept by the states and the people. So in other words, it's kind of saying if there's a power that is not specifically listed out in the Constitution or in the state governments, it belongs to the people. All right, so again, it's basically saying the people are the ones that are in power. All right, thanks for watching. That was all the Bill of Rights, and hopefully you learned something there. Thanks.